Greetings, Sorors. It gives me great pleasure to have this conversation and to host this call with all of you because you are some of my favorite Sorors. And we are going to talk about one of the topics that we all love, and that is serving our community by leading them on a journey to financial wellness with our esteemed partner, the dfree Global Foundation and Dr. Sorors. But before we start, I would like for each of you to introduce yourselves so that people will know who is in the room. So why don't we start with our National Economic Development Committee Chair, Soror Carmen McClendon. Soror McClendon?
Thank you, Michelle. I'm excited to have this conversation. Of course, I'm Carmen McClendon. I am the current chair of the Economic Development Committee under our National Program Planning and Development umbrella. I hail from the blazing Southwest region, and I'm a member of the Dallas Alumni Chapter.
Good evening, everyone. I am Sorority Jones-Gibbs. I live in the sensational South Atlantic region, where I'm a member of the Durham Alumni Chapter. And it is good to see you all and have this conversation this evening.
Greetings, everyone. I am Ellen Brown, and I live in the fabulous Far West region, the city of Las Vegas. I am very happy to be here. I'm the immediate past president of the Las Vegas Alumni Economic Development Committee, and I am more than happy to share the good news.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Amina Pearson. I belong to the Indianapolis Alumni Chapter in the mighty Midwest. I am the chair of our Financial Fortitude Committee, and I'm also the executive director of a nonprofit that serves the community in Indianapolis.
Thank you, Sorors. And I'm Michelle Dutton. I am the hostess for the call this evening. And I'll have to say that I am really excited to be here. I come to you from the East, serving in the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter. And I'm also a member of the National Economic Development Committee under Soror McClendon's lead. So we are excited to have this conversation, and I'm happy to kick it off because we have just accomplished a tremendous amount with serving our community. We've been in this partnership for more than 8 years with dfree. I mean, time flies when you're having fun and when you're doing the work. And over that time, we've reduced debt by more than $7 million. We have engaged more than 200 chapters. We have saved thousands of dollars, including the savings that our collegiate sorors are doing and ramping up with. We've attended multiple conventions where we've given out awards, and sorors, we are just changing the mindsets and transforming our community around what people think about money. So it is exciting. So Soror Gibbs, why don't you tell us how we got started on this journey?
Well, we got started on this journey because I was attending a conference that was being held by Home Free USA in Florida one year. And at that conference, Dr. Sorors was one of the speakers. And he definitely has the oratorical gift. Some preachers don't have it, but he has it. And I was sitting there listening to this man, and he started talking about, we need to make sure we reduce our debts, our delinquencies, and our deficits. And I said, yeah. I said, he's right. I said, he sounds good. And he gave a testimony of how he had to get himself straight in order to help his membership get straight. So after he finished, he and I started talking. You know how after someone speaks, you go up to him. I intentionally made sure I was the last person. And I said to him, well, I want to tell you, I really liked what you said, but you forgot the most important D. I said, you named the 3 Ds of debts, delinquency, and deficit. I said, but you forgot the most important. He said, well, what did I forget? I said, denial. People must first get over their denial before they're going to deal with their debts, the delinquencies, and the deficits. And it took us to a totally different conversation. Fast forward, I brought it to my church. And then he and I was talking one day, and I said, well, if you really want this thing to be successful, you need to bring it to the Pan-Atlantic. And you might as well bring it to the sorority, which I'm a member of, because once Delta does it, others will follow. And that was the introduction that I brought of Dr. Sorors to our sorority and said, this should be an initiative. And I did tell him, we will vet you before we become a partner with you because we are a brand and we're protective of our brand. And he says, I'll do whatever Delta asked me to do. I want to do it right, but I strongly believe you when you say if Delta does it, then it'll be done right and others will join. And then I had the pleasure of saying, hey, it's time for me to move on to another thing. And then this dynamite lady by the name of Carmen McClendon joined and moved it to the next level within our sisterhood, Sarah McClendon.
Thank you, Sarah Gibbs. One of the things that as Deltas, we often look back and reflect, and our history and our journey is so important. And the foundation that Sarah Gibbs laid was just the foundation that we needed to take dfree to the next level. So personally, thank you, Sarah Gibbs, for implementing this with Delta Sigma Theta. So what we did after the phenomenal foundation that Sarah Gibbs laid for us, we wanted to ensure that our partnership was strong and binding. So we established a MOU with dfree. So we put that in place. In addition to, we leveraged dfree Young Money, which we rolled it out to our collegiate Sorors, and that was a phenomenal success. We're so excited to hear about the entrepreneur program. As in Delta Sigma Theta, we are now focused on, and always have been focused on, our entrepreneurs, and we even have our Delta Red pages. But we were so excited to look at the material, put things in place to further support our Sorors in their journey into financial freedom. In addition to that, we were thus then excited to know and hear about, your dfree for seasoned citizens. And, although our administration and tenure is coming to an end, we are so hopeful and we are so confident that we will continue to leverage the model that Sarah Gibbs put in place. We will continue to leverage all of the tools to really make an impact in our communities, as well as our sisterhood. So thank you again, Sarah Gibbs. You've laid the foundation. dfree has been a wonderful partner and continues to support us and embrace our ideas about how we can do things with such a much more impact in our communities.
Thank you for such a great compliment. I really appreciate it. But no good deed continues without excellent leadership continually. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sorors, through both of your leadership, we have just hosted so many webinars, and we've done so many classes, instructor-led classes, dfree Academy classes online. We have just touched hundreds of thousands of people. And if you think about at our conventions alone, we have at least 15, 20,000 people that we're touching with dfree. So the story continues. And I know that Soror Brown and Soror Pearson have also been very instrumental in helping to keep this story going along this journey. And both of you have just done a tremendous job in bringing even more resources to the table. And in Delta, we operate at the national, regional, local, and international level. And I am so excited that Delta has not only been launching dfree locally, but also nationally. When we went out to train the Sorors in the Virgin Islands, dfree came with us and we trained the Sorors there too. So I just want to give a little bit about how, what it takes to launch dfree in the local spaces. So Sorors Brown and Soror Pearson, tell us a little bit more about what you guys have done in that space.
Thank you, Soror Dutton. I'm so glad to share because it is an amazing program. One of the things that I really applaud Dr. Sorors for and the team is making it simple for the people who have the passion to bring it to the community. It's like have dfree in the streets, and it's pushed and cultured and just really transform a pathway through churches to people. So with the sorority, with nonprofit community centers, we're able to train people easily. The instructions for their instructors who are going to facilitate are so general and broken down so that if you have the passion, you will have an impact. We've been doing it here in Indianapolis through the chapter for 4 years, and we've touched so many people. One of the things we do is have a graduation at the end, and the stories from how fearful people have been to talk about money, to talk about their finances, going through the class, hearing success stories, and seeing it happen in their own lives. When Soror Gibbs talked about denial, the fact that it starts with breaking down where you are is amazing. And when we share our stories, the participants understand that we're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter what your income is. This is such a powerful program, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. Our Financial Fortitude Committee all feels the same way. We're excited when it comes to dfree. We just get really excited because we know the impact.
Okay, everything that the other sorors have said has certainly been mirrored here in Las Vegas. When people think of Las Vegas, they think of a place where you spend money, not save money. And of course, for residents and the community, we want you to spend money. but we those of us who live here in our chapter, Las Vegas alumni, when we first heard about dfree, and I don't necessarily want to take credit, but I think I was the one that first heard about it and came to the chapter. And I was actually chair of economic development at the time. And I just knew that that we had to do something, because each one of us can, talk for an hour or more about our behavior and our buying and spending patterns, and for ourselves as well as everybody around us. And we know what the consequences of those are. So I came back with just really excited about bringing this program to Las Vegas, first to the sorors in our chapter, but to the community, because people are hurting. I mean, the majority of the work that we do in Delta Sigma Theta is to help those who need help because they're disadvantaged in many different ways. And financially is the greatest of that. So what we have done is that we took the templates that were already provided, the classes that Dr. Sorors and the team had, and we put those together, and we began by offering a in-person class through one of the churches. And I know Soror Michelle and a couple others on that team, I called you probably in between things we were doing in that class, because somebody asked questions and I didn't really have the answers. And so I would just get my phone or text to Michelle and whoever I could get.
I was on speed dial, remember?
That's right. And you still are. You still are. But some of the highlights, it seemed as though, to me, I was feeling like we weren't really going in the direction I wanted it to go, which was already created by the dfree team, the progression that we were to go. And I was feeling some kind of way about that. But what I realized is that, you know what, this is so magnificent that it's going to take its own wings and go where it needs to go. And that's exactly what it did.
So have you been able to serve your community at large through the partnership? Because we were talking a lot about Delta, but I just want to bring in the fact that we've also kind of taken this into our churches and our community and our families. So anybody want to just kind of chime in with some of that? And Soror McClendon, I know you've even started talking with someone in your church about dfree. So it's not just a Delta thing, because where Delta goes, we like to bring our whole community along. So anyone want to talk about that?
Well, I know we did it through a financial fortitude weekend we had in Durham, North Carolina. And I can remember kicking it off by saying, if your money is funny and your change is strange, you have come to the right event. Because we're going to help you get it all right before you leave here today. And we were fortunate to have it at one of our HBCUs, and everything was wired. So we were able to have rooms for individuals to go to and not feel cramped. We were surprised with the outcome that day, because it was a cold, rainy March day, but we had over 350 people. You know how you're getting ready to go to something like that and you say, oh Lord, please don't let it rain. Nobody's gonna, but we were fortunate enough that we had gotten free publicity from the local radio stations. We had created flyers and put them in the churches and things. So the turnout was phenomenal. The other thing that we did with ours is we involved the Pan-Atlantic. So we called it the Delta Pan-Atlantic Challenge. And we had some sponsors. So we had the PAN members, whichever group brought the most registrants that attended, there was an award for them. We had one for alumni and one for collegiates. And it was great. We raised some money for our chapter. We raised our money for the community, and we were able to bring this to the community. It was very well received. And it was at that I kind of created these cards. I'm gonna try to do a show and tell right quick. And these little cards come in 3 colors. You have the red one, which says, stop. I will not use credit card for purchases. This will only worsen my financial situation. Help me, Jesus, because it was done in our church too. And we quoted Romans 13:8. Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another. And on the back, the cards all say the same thing. It basically says, eliminate denial, debts, delinquencies, and deficits. But there's a pledge, the Eliminating the 4 Ds Financial Freedom Pledge, which is part of dfree. And Dr. Sorors always teased me, said, you just put that D in there without my permission. I said, well, you didn't have that part trademarked, so that's why I did it. And so we joke about that. And we used it more with a biblical principle, which is what dfree is built on. We said, I pledge to use God's strategy for managing my money, to keep my expenses below my income, to pay my bills on time, to invest in assets that grow in value, to contribute to my church through tithes and offering in this ministry. And it has no expiration date on the back. If you look at it, you sign it. And the purpose for not having an expiration date, it's like if you go through any 12-step program, you can subject yourself to be back in trouble if you don't keep yourself focused. So the second card was a yellow card. And we made them the size of a credit card because the intent was put these cards in front of your credit card. So if you get ready to pull out your credit card, this may help you not do so if you read these cards. And so the yellow one says, I will only use credit card for emergency needs. Remember, my debt is not yet eliminated and I need to be cautious about my spending. And then we said Proverbs 21:21, a wise man saves up for the future, but a foolish man spends whatever he gets. And then finally, we had the green card. And the green card says, hallelujah, I'm debt free. I want to stay debt free. Therefore, I will not charge any item I cannot pay in full in 30 days. We believe it's all about a mindset. And then we use the Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And so, the moral of these stories, and I'm gonna stop in a minute, was I just thought that, people needed one. And we was at one session, the lady said, well, I need all 3 of them. I said, why do you need all 3 cards? She said, because I really need to stop using some cards I already have. She said, and I don't need to start using some that I haven't started, so that's why I need the yellow one. And she said, I just need to have the green one to have hope that I'm gonna get there one day to be free. So I said, okay, you get all 3.
One of the things, Sorors, that inspired me when I became the chair of the Economic Development Committee is that I had an opportunity to attend the dfree Homecoming Conference, that's where I, heard some very strong testimonials. And it was one pastor, and unfortunately, I cannot remember his name, but it was what they were able to accomplish as a church through the dfree movement, curriculum, and program. And although my church is debt free and thriving, however, one of the things I always often say is, so what's next? What's our next opportunity? So that's why I have talked to my pastor and talked to others about starting a dfree program movement for our church, because again, I remember when our founding pastor, who's now deceased, when he came up with the vision, we grow people. And in order to grow people and for us to really make a difference in the communities where we live, work, and serve, we have to grow people. How do we do that? We do that through education. And education about your finances, education about other things. And that's why, again, I get excited about dfree. I get excited about the accomplishments thus far, the impact it's had on Delta, but also what can be done with an intense focus on all of those Ds, as you mentioned previously, sorry, Gibbs. So it's a passion of mine. And I look back and reflect on my grandparents and what they went through. And they were homeowners and they had land and they left it to my dad, who then left it to my sister and I. And so I think about the legacy and thinking about, how can I continue that legacy and not let the hard work and the suffering and the challenges they went through back then as an African-American couple in an all-white community owning land. It's my duty to them to get it, to do it, and to share it.
Well, Sorors, I just want to thank you for your time. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I just encourage you to just continue to lead well. And as we said, where Deltas go, others will follow. So let's bring our communities along with us on this phenomenal ride. Dr. Sorors, back to you.
Thank you, ladies, for that update on the partnership between the Delta Sigma Theta sorority and the dfree movement. When we formed dfree back in 2005, as I mentioned before, our focus was our local church. But more and more, we found that people were interested beyond the church, and it was actually members of our church who were also members of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Chief among them is Michelle Dutton. You saw her in the video. And they said, listen, we want our members to be financially free, just like you want your church members to be financially free. And we intended to give away our strategy and give away our content. And so we've created opportunities for organizations to be just like Delta Sigma Theta. They've got chapters all over the country. I think, frankly, they're the strongest Black organization we have, and their chapters are involved in the $1 Billion Challenge. Their chapters are involved in the dfree Online Academy. And so if you have an organization that's national and you'd like your chapters to be as effective in impacting their communities as the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, you've heard how they've done it, you heard why they're doing it, contact us and we'll help you do the same thing.